you to the UXCrawl segment. So UXCrawl actually in on-site is usually like a company tour of our partner companies where we get to see their offices and also how they work like a day in a life. But now that we're bringing it live into the digital setting, we'd like to focus more on the company cultures of our partners that are with us today. So kung di pa kayo na-excite doon, guys, we have amazing guests for today, so you better watch out. So to introduce myself, I am Kay from 4BS MIS, and I'm pleased to be your host for today's event. So today we'll be hearing from the inner workings of renowned fintech and lifestyle companies, namely NextPay and Summit Media, and we'll be immersing in their culture and career opportunities. Isn't that so exciting? So sit back, relax, and grab a snack since it's a wonderful Saturday afternoon because it's really going to be full of learnings that you can take with you as you go through your career journey. So without further ado, we'd like to introduce our first set of speakers for today. The first company we have invited is NextPay, the all-in-one banking solution for handling finances and growing businesses. So with us today are seven amazing and lovely speakers that will engage with us through a fireside chat. So to introduce them, our first speaker is Aldrich Tan. He is an advocate for collaboration, design learning, community building, and mentorship for startups and designers. He is the Chief Experience Officer and co-founder of NextPay, the best alternative to bank accounts for small businesses and entrepreneurs in the Philippines. So next we have Janelle
Hi, everybody.
Tamayo. Ay, hi Aldrich. Yes. Next, we have Janelle Tamayo, who is a special projects manager and UX designer at NextPay and a mentor at Endurance's recently launched UX diploma program. So previously, she was part of the core team of UXPH, the largest UX organization in the Philippines, and is currently leading the events and part of the research team that wrote the first ever study on the state of the UX in the Philippines. So hey, Janelle. Welcome today. Our third speaker is Siege Atienza, a product manager, UX designer, and no-code developer from Metro Manila. He is currently a co-founder of Taiki, an AI-driven consumer finance platform, and a junior product manager at NextPay. Other than that, he's also the Google DSC lead for the Ateneo de Manila University. Hi, Siege.
Hello.
All right. So for our fourth speaker, we have Nikki Datlangin, a UX designer at NextPay studying psychology at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Shaped by her schooling in indigenous psychology, she aims to find the colonial alternatives in therapy, tech, and design while building products that shape the future of finance and work. So give it up for Nikki.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, so next we have Amera Ibrahim, who is a UX designer at NextPay and a freelance web designer. She aims to create intuitive digital experiences for people to use with ease through design and code. She's also an advocate of empowering girls to code and is currently an ambassador for Memories Lead Design Community, where she gets to connect with designers around the world. So, Amera, would you like to say hello?
Hi. Hello.
All right. So also with us is Patrick C., a UX designer at NextPay. So as a BSIT graduate and a self-taught UI UX designer, he enjoys anything and everything design, motion, and illustration. So hi Patrick.
Hi.
All right. And last but not the least, Juancho Crisostomo is a UX designer and is the freshest addition to the NextPay team. So, having worked as a creative in the publication, design, and apparel industries, he understands what it takes to communicate effective, user centric ideas into aesthetically pleasing products in whatever form they may be. So,
Hello.
hey, Juancho.
Hi.
All right. So, those are our speakers. Thank you once again, NextPay team, for joining us today. So without further ado, we'll be starting with our fireside chat. So yes, now that we've introduced you guys, we'd like to know more like what do you do at NextPay, and could you share what the team is currently working on? So anyone can take the floor.
I think August is the best to answer this question.
Okay. You can all hear me? Okay. So yeah, we're working on a lot of things. Everybody kind of is assigned to their own project. Recently, we just, for example, see Nikki and Juancho, they're in Amera, they're assigned to our marketing side of things, marketing and growth side of product. So that includes our landing pages. So we just launched a new version of it. So do check that out. Janelle is also working on, accepting money, because we have money in, money out, right? So Janelle's focused on that. Siege is also doing a lot of design operations. Patrick's doing a lot of the money out. So you guys feel free to go into more detail about that. But yeah, basically everybody has their own assignments, so to speak. And then we all kind of just come together every day as a design team to do reviews and asynchronous feedback and all of that. And of course, I'm working on, I guess, overall strategy and a few other departments too.
Yes, seems like there's a lot going on with the team as well. But really happy that what you guys are doing really impacts Filipino businesses. So yes, amazing things. So you've mentioned that each person in the team is currently working on different like items in your backlog. Could you share with us like how you usually divide the work in the team? Okay, maybe Siege can answer.
Got to win this podcast. Sure. Yeah. So, like Aldrich mentioned, we're all assigned to different squads. We call them squads in our company. So we're assigned to different squads. For example, Patrick's assigned to the money out. Sorry if the background noise is loud. Janelle's assigned to money in. Nikki, Amara, and Wancho helping out with the growth stuff. And yeah, so we have on the designs operations side. So we did a little skills mapping as well, identifying what our strong points are and stuff that we need support in. And that's really how we assign things or assign different stories or tasks to the different people in the company. So, for example, if something is copy heavy, we have Nikki helping us out. If it's something Webflow related, it's Mara and Nikki. So, like, we really have different assignments based on our skill set and based on where we're assigned to, what squad we're assigned to. Maybe the others could add guys out.
Yeah, I'll add in. I agree with what Siege mentioned, but I also wanted to add that even though we have our own assignments, we also work on sort of extra stuff that we're sort of passionate in or like we really want to learn about. So Kunere, Nikki's skill set is really on copywriting. So she actually made us a voice and tone guide that we use day to day in our designs to make our voice and tone more cohesive in products. I'm interested in design ops and research ops, so I'm actually working with Siege on that as well. And we're hiring a UX research intern pretty soon. So yeah, I guess two UX research interns. So we're still looking for one, right? One more, yeah. So in addition to, I guess, our main roles, we do also sort of branch out into what else do we want to learn and add it into our day-to-day work. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that, guys. So I'm getting a lot of like learning alongside working. So it's really amazing to hear. And for their audience, I'm sure some people are really interested in this research intern precision. So maybe later on you could dive deeper into that. So yes, you also mentioned that when it comes to like doing something related to your passions, how do you usually bring it up with Aldrich or like your managers? That oh, I want to try something new. How would you approach that in that manner? Yeah.
Okay.
Nikki, okay, go, Patrick.
So we actually have our one-on-one scheduled fairly often. So that's when we get to bring up our passions and the things that we want to work on. And that's the very nice thing about NextPay is that they actually listen to what you're passionate about and they gear you towards that route and really help you move forward without. So like I mentioned that we have specific roles earlier, but all of us are like so open into like collaborating with each other that it's you're not just boxed in this one role for the rest of your stay with the company or for however long you're going to be in this team. So that's a really nice thing because you could just easily bring up that, hey, this is something that I want to explore. And then Aldrich usually mentions to share with the team. And then that's how it grows from there. So yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, it really relies a lot on our self-initiative because we were only recently this structured, or I guess more like division of work as a team, since at the beginning of the year we were only around 4 designers, less than 5. And if you wanted to learn something, you could just apply it immediately to whatever new thing we were working on at NextPay. So sometimes we don't even have to bring it up right away to our managers. They just really encourage us to bring it up during a design review or a process improvement meeting. And then even our HC, our human capital department, what we call our HR, hosts these brown bag sessions or learning sessions where people can just teach what they're looking at, what they're working on, or what they're passionate about. So it's a lot of feedback culture to the and a lot of self-initiative from everyone.
Yeah, if I may add to what Nikki said, I think we, at least the managing team and the leaders, we really want to build like a culture that is very trust based. So like Nikki said, it relies on a lot of self-initiative, and managing a team really depends on adjusting to the individual's kind of style, their learning, wherever they're at in their career, their journey right now. So having to take that into consideration and of course kind of give them opportunities to utilize their strengths, or if they want to learn in some areas, if we find opportunities where, hey, maybe you can try something new here, we have that flexibility. But at the end of the day, I really rely on the team over here, even to educate me on the latest trends or whatever the latest practices, because I'm not that immersed anymore. Yeah, I can't even do auto layout anymore. So yeah. So yeah, I rely a lot on my team and I trust them to do that.
Yes, I certainly love what everyone in the team said, that it really is dependent on self initiative and also trust within the team. Most especially that we're in a pandemic, so it's much harder to build relationships through a screen. But yeah, really happy that there are initiatives like this one. So you guys also mentioned earlier that you when you have something you're working on, you work on it on your own first, and then you also do a lot of collaborative sessions. Could you share more about those sessions? Like, how do you usually brainstorm ideas, or how do you come together to come up with new ideas? Okay, maybe Juancho can share.
Hello. So actually, it was like my first week last week at NextPay. So I don't have much on my own plate, but I still participate in like we have design review sessions. And so far I've seen like how everyone, let's say someone wants feedback on what they're doing. It's really quick that people can easily chime in their own ideas, what they think about each other's work, and it's very constructive. And as someone who's new to the team, it was it was like an environment that I really liked seeing. So yeah, the that's basically what I have so far in the from my point of view. But yeah, maybe someone else can add on to that.
Yeah, so Wancha is actually the newest addition into your team. We just joined in, I think, last week, right? He hasn't been able to sort of see the full spectrum of like, or I guess our rituals. But yes, we do have feedback sessions every day where everyone in the design team, and also we actually have a designer as well in the growth team that comes in. If there's any feedback that needs to be done, then we can all sit down and talk about it and discuss what can be improved. We also have this thing which we call a design process meeting every 2 weeks at the start of the sprint sorry, not at the start, at the end of the sprint, to do sort of like a retro on what happened throughout the sprint. Is there anything that we can improve in how we work currently? If there's anything that didn't work well during the past 2 weeks that we can address, maybe get feedback from the team and all that. I guess that's how we constantly improve and also collaborate more day-to-day, kahit na, even if we're sort of working apart, we still come in together and at certain points of the day or the week, just to make sure that we're fully communicating. And also we have like Slack channel, and also I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with Gather. That's sort of how our virtual office right now, where it's like an 8-bit environment that simulates like a co-working space. And I guess that's how we keep I guess our team more cohesive during this pandemic. Yeah.
Also, if I may add as well to that, we also have like design team scoping meeting as well. So like before we start a sprint, we want to like gather as a team and like brainstorm, like for example, like if I have a task that I have to work on next sprint, we would like talk about it, and then we'll like see if there are any potential blockers, or like I guess if ever like the scope would like grow or not. So we get to talk about that as well. So yeah, that's what I have to add. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one. On the design team scoping, like why that came about is when you're working in sprints, working with developers, product managers, it's kind of difficult to kind of gauge how much time and effort, I guess a design project may take, right? And everybody's, I guess, gauge is a little different. So this is our way of kind of coming together and just kind of normalizing and getting on the same page on what we think will take, X amount of days, or even a lot of effort, a lot of time to go through. So that's part of the reason behind it, and it also kind of allows us to get better at scoping our work as designers. There have been times where a project seems super easy, but yan pala, it's actually a beast of a project. So we kind of take that learning together.
Yes. I guess like from Adra just sharing, also everyone in the team was laughing. So I really lovely sharings. I was actually taking notes as well. I attended the Swarm event earlier, and they said that one form of team bonding is really working on something hard together. So through that way, like you get to see each other's strengths and weaknesses, and also have a shared experience of it. So really nice to hear these from you. And yes, thank you so much for sharing that. So with all of these rituals that you've been mentioning as well, and the things that you've been working on together, what are your favorite tools in doing your work, or what are the tools that help you accomplish all that you have right now as a team?
Notion.
Notion. Yeah,
Notion.
Junyo and I finally got buy-in to have Notion for the team. And since we did that, like the processes and the operations of the company really sped up and became smoother. We were able to document a lot of things easier. And especially now that we're incorporating design operations and research operations into the process, like things are more centralized and easier to like more visibility across the whole company. So I guess besides that, Figma. We are all auto layout advocates here, except Aldrich. Sure. And yeah, we've been
I love auto layout. It doesn't love me.
Yeah. So besides Figma, like FigJam as well, we migrated, like the design team at least migrated from Miro to FigJam. I guess the other like the growth designers here can talk about the other tools that we use as well.
Okay. I guess for me and Nikki, we usually use Webflow for our NextPay website. So it's been really a fun tool to use, and we also like have a framework that we're using called Hatch framework. So that's where we get like a guide on how to structure our websites better, and also it speeds up our development process. So yeah, if Nikki, if you have anything to add as well on that.
Yeah, we're huge fans of both Notion and Webflow and the no-code movement in general. We actually do have a lot of tools to store a number of things. Like we have Airtable where we have this library of design resources, and then the growth team uses it as well for like CRMs or partnership programs. And through stuff like Zapier, through automation tools, it's really fun to see how all of these connect as well. So how content from Airtable can automatically go to Webflow, or we embed certain Airtables in Notion. It's just so powerful to see everything interact. And just we love Gather as well to see how people are doing in other departments. Honestly, remote work, it's hard to see what other departments are doing or even meet people. So it's just nice to pop in the growth team and just see how they're working or attend stand-ups across different rooms. It just makes cross-functional stuff so much easier and much more delightful.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I've been seeing the Gather screenshots on Twitter. So it really makes me happy that it's really something that brings your team together. And thank you for sharing like your favorite tools. And yes, agree with the comments below at the chat. Wow, YouTuber. That Notion Nation talaga. It's really so nice. So yes, actually, I've been meaning to ask, like, you guys have been sharing that you really want each other to grow in your own passions and also for the company to grow as well. Could you share like what values do you integrate into what values of NextPay are you integrating in your team? Okay, maybe Aldrich can answer this
Sure.
one.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear and obvious what we value, especially when we're hiring, what we look for in certain people. Obviously, integrity is crucial. We really value transparency and just being able to, you're gonna hear this everywhere, the whole growth mindset thing, right? But we definitely want to work with people who want to continue improving on their craft, and learning even outside their comfort zone. So there's the integrity, there's the trust as well, and transparency, and of course creativity. I think because we're an early stage startup, we really have to hustle, right? There's a lot of work that needs to get done, and so sometimes um, just being able to get creative with a solution or find a workaround is good enough just to prove a concept. um, yeah, I think those are some of the most important things that I look for in the team, and we can kind of see it throughout not only the design team but the rest of the departments, that people also kind of exemplify this. And I think it's also super duper important to have psychological safety. This is exactly one thing that we're continuously advocating for, because there's this, I'm sure a lot of you may have encountered it, but there's a whole hiya mentality that people have. They're afraid to speak up, or maybe they're afraid to look silly or not knowing the answer to anything, but that's totally okay. And in fact, we encourage it to say like, hey, I don't know, but let's figure out the answer to that, right? So nobody really shies away from doing that. And then yeah, we kind of just end up helping and leaning on each other to figure things out. Anyone wants to add, please do.
I want to emphasize on the psychological safety aspect. Like I think that really gives us a lot of room to grow and a lot of room to improve our designs and in general, like how we work. Like it's been a really great environment where we're able to bring up things that we're having difficulty with, give suggestions without having to worry about how stupid we might look. Like we're all just ourselves in the company, and that's like a really big thing in building the culture and building the product as well. Yeah.
Yes, I love what Siege also said that it starts with the people on how you build the culture and also the company. So environment really plays like a huge factor when it comes to unleashing like your creativity as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. With that, like maybe you guys have some. You mentioned earlier that you really value what people have to say and that you want to create an environment where people aren't shy to speak up. So we're curious about first day stories. And since Juancho just started, like maybe you could share more of that. Like, how was your first day at NextPay?
Yeah, my first day it was I don't know, I felt culture shocked, because the people, I mean, working first of all, working in a virtual office, and you can see people, their avatars moving around. If you go close to them, you can talk to them if their cameras are on or if their mics are on. That's how Gather works. And I didn't feel left out. Like, everyone was very welcoming. I had a bunch of scheduled meetings with teams, because onboarding and all, but everyone was super friendly. And yeah, I think the the feeling that I remember the most is that I have to bring myself up to speed. Like, I can see everybody is amazing in their own fields, and I'm, it's like I want to be like that. I want to fit into this team, and as we mentioned earlier, we try our best to like take initiative. And for me, my initiative is to really familiarize myself with all the tools, like so many tools that we use. And yeah, just like get maybe the technical side down and really fit myself into the next pay mindset. So just a fun fact that when you enter, they have a bunch of books that they recommend you read. So one of them is Anything You Want. Is that the right title? Yeah, Anything You Want. I can't remember the author, but that was a very interesting book about the creator of the website CD Baby. And I'm sure it's not as famous maybe here in the Philippines, but yeah, and yes, also the mom test. So yeah, they really value the mindset of being customer centric, and the people, everybody, they have to be people persons. So yeah, that's all.
Yes, thank you, Ancho. Happy to know that you've been enjoying your stay also since it's been a week with NextPay. So with that, we're getting a lot of questions from our Slido. So if our audience wants to ask more questions, they can access it in the chat as well. So in here, you've also mentioned earlier on that you're looking for a UX research intern. So they're asking, what are the experiences or skills are you looking for that intern? And maybe like give what would they be doing in that role?
Sure, I can speak a little bit to that. Well, like I said, um, earlier with the whole values thing, right? That's something that we really look for. Obviously, the hard skills are valuable, but I think it's more about the personality, how they are they really not afraid to be themselves, that we really gauge as any potential candidate. Um, so the I guess the hard skills, definitely Janelle and Siege can speak a little bit more to that, but obviously we're looking for somebody who's really curious, inquisitive, and able to draw customer insights based on some data, or I don't know, somebody who is keen to observe and just question everything. Some things that they're going to get to work on are actually working with the product managers as we either start to release new features or improve existing ones. There's definitely a lot of areas in our UX and UI that we want to continue to improve, right? um, and I guess it's normal as you're building a product. There's just always going to be something that you need to fix. So yeah, helping us kind of address the gaps in the platform and figuring out how to move forward from there. Go ahead, Janelle and Siege.
Go ahead, Jenny.
I was just gonna add, I think we're looking for somebody who's really like a self-starter, who's very eager to try new things. Since we're a startup, I would say a lot of the things that we're doing right now is not very established yet. So we're looking for somebody who would spearhead, or who has I guess the capacity to not dictate, but sort of steer us towards a direction, and the entire team is going to be helping with that. I think that's like the biggest one for me, is really just being a self-starter. You're eager to learn. If you grow, then the team also grows. So I would say that is the biggest one for me. Sorry, go Siege.
Yeah, that's one on the initiatives aspect. And another thing is like, as a general thing, we're just trying to scale up our design team. So we're still establishing our design operations, research operations, and I guess for the intern, we're looking for someone who can also help out with that, really establishing the foundations of how research will work in this space. We've already started, but we always get help. And I guess Aldrich would also like, Aldrich is too shy to say it, but he only prefers people with like crispy fries. Joke.
Not try to say it. I will shame you for it. But it won't affect your application.
So we have like an internal faction war from crispy fries versus the soggy fries faction. So yes, you have to be for crispy fries.
Okay, that's interesting to know, guys. But I see in the chat that everyone has their own opinions talaga. But yes, thank you so much for sharing. There's actually a follow-up question about joining as an intern. So do they need a portfolio when applying? Or what would be the requirements for it?
Preferably, you do have a portfolio, just because, again, we're moving fast all the time. Everybody, as we mentioned, is assigned to their own projects, right? So some previous work to show that you have at least some skills, with the related role, something to show for. And I think, again, we're really looking for initiative, right? So even if they're just side projects or for fun projects, pro bono work, whatever, that's okay. But what we look for when we screen applicants and portfolios is also good rationale and good critical thinking as to why you made any design decision with your project, right? Don't just make a decision or do UI for the sake of it, or just because it looks pretty, right? There has to be something deeper attached to it. So that's very critical. We have screened, or we have accepted interns din naman don't have that much work, but it's a little bit more challenging just because everybody is so busy. So I think that we prefer somebody who already has a little bit of experience, but it's not super required naman. We can work with it still. Janelle, maybe.
Agreed. It doesn't have to be a like the typical definition of a portfolio. If you can sort of show us sort of like the skills that is needed for the role in a different way. If it's not a portfolio, we're like totally open to that, as long as you can demonstrate it, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing. So for everyone in the audience, what really watch out when they open the role for it. So let's build the hype around that. All right. So we're actually down to our last question. Since we will be ending in a few minutes. So this question is really for everyone. What's your favorite part about working in NextPay? Or like, what's a favorite memory of yours? Maybe we can start with Patrick.
I guess it's just you've mentioned kanina that even though we're like we're not on an office, we're like working remote, it feels so connected, even though I personally haven't seen any of the other team members that I have. And even with that, I feel very close to these people, and it's such a very, very humbling and very I'm just very grateful to have these people because we're all like-minded, and they appreciate my humor, and they appreciate the work that I do. And then just getting the chance to collaborate with these great individuals, it is so astonishing at sometimes. Parang like, wow, I am really with great people. So yeah. Iyak na yan, Char.
Yes, thank you so much, Patrick. All right. Would you like to nominate the next person who will share?
Si Amira kasi trip niya ako kanina.
All right, Amira. The floor is yours.
Grabe siya. Oh, I guess for me, same sentiments as well with Patrick. Like, I really love working at NextPay, and it's like an amazing team to be part of. And like, what I also love about working here is that what I'm learning in the design team isn't just limited. So I'm also learning from other departments as well. So it's really open to like different, I guess, skill set as well. Like, I'm not just limited to one thing or like just focused on design. So that's really a great thing to have, I guess, in a company. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Amira. Would you like to call on the next person?
Nikki?
For me, aside from being so connected nga to everyone, it's that everyone's looking for the 1% improvements. Na during design review, you're really gonna show up there to make the product something that's gonna work well for the user, something that's super smooth, and every word in the copy is there for a reason. And yeah, everyone's just so safe to share what they want to improve on. The resources, whether or not you're in the design team, people are always just sharing articles, um, sharing articles, sharing other products, screenshots, landing pages that we're all pulling from when we brainstorm ideas. So like coming into NextPay, it's just a lot of different resources being thrown at you every single day in Slack. And it's just really accelerated my growth, I think, as a designer to have exposure to that. Yeah, I think the only way to really grow is to get that kind of feedback. So super grateful for everyone who has done that for me here.
Yes, lovely to hear that. Their environment really plays a huge role. So yes, thank you, Nikki. Jana, would you like to go next?
Yeah, for me as well, it's more of the growth aspect of it, and also the people. It's the psychological safety that Aldrich was talking about. When I started, that was like the one thing that that convinced me to work at NextPay, even though things weren't established yet. The potential of growing and just being able to do a lot of different things that you want to do, and have that support with you. That is super duper important, I think, for somebody to grow, not just as a designer, also as a person. And I really feel that with our team. I don't know if I can share it. I want to talk about like a internal crisis that we had in the in the company. And even though it wasn't sort of like more the maybe the growth team and the finance team are the ones that should be dealing with just that one issue, but because we knew it was important, some of the team members as well and the other teams, came in to Zoom just to give like a mental support, even though we're not really doing anything, just making sure that we're there and they know that we're there for support, like a kind of mental support lang or emotional support. I think that speaks a lot into sort of the type of people that we're working with, and that it's not strictly work, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing, Jana. Wancho, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so my favorite thing about NextPay so far, as everyone has mentioned, is the people. So even before I actually joined the company, I had already met Aldrich and Janelle before, and I already knew how good they were in their fields and how, everyone looks up to them. And so I really knew that if I joined this company, I'd grow. And when I joined, as I said earlier, it's just that everyone is so um, amazing in their fields that you yourself want to grow. And aside from that, everyone is so supportive. And just a backstory: when I was writing my bio for this talk, Aldrich actually PM'd me, and he was like, "Oh, you're selling yourself short." Like, oh, so I rewrote it, and it's just that kind of input from everyone. It's a great place to be, and I'm excited for the years to come.
It's a great place to be. Wow. I was super touched by that. Thank you, Wancho. So, Siege, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. I've been in NextPay for like a year. Actually, a year this week. So it's been a really great experience. I remember my first day. Um, and when my first task was to go through the design system. Then we went full circle. Now I'm managing the design system. But I think like the best part about Creative is we're not limited. We're growing in wherever like whatever we want to grow in. So for example, in my case, like I started off with UX, but I've been transitioning to more product work. And the company and Aldrich allowed me to practice that transition here in XP and let me work on more product management stuff, work on my design operations, move away from product a bit. So there's really a lot of flexibility, and the best part is you're not just learning stuff related to what you're working on, but you're learning a lot of things from other people as well. Like in my case, like as someone who also wants to be a founder, I'm learning stuff in growth, I'm learning stuff in finance and business development and all that, not just UX. And I think that's like the biggest value that I get from NextPay. And that's why that's why I'm still here. Because I really love the environment. I love learning from everyone. So yeah, that's
Yeah, super love your answers, everyone. Really touching culture. Like the trust is really there. So yes, last but not the least, Aldrich.
Yeah. All I can say is that it's been surreal, honestly. Because it started with just me and Janil in the very beginning, and now we have 7 amazing designers or rather 6 others. And we're still growing. The company's grown. I'm just so happy and grateful, and also hashtag blessed that the team also puts a lot of trust in me, in the rest of the leadership team, in the company. um I don't know. I'm just really really happy. And like they kept mentioning the whole initiative thing, right? um I think it's really, I keep saying this, it's been like every designer's dream to have like a design system. And a lot of companies do it way later on, so it becomes almost impossible to do. We're doing it much earlier on. And I've only gone as far as like a component library, for example, in my previous company. But the fact that they're all banding together and building the system, I wasn't even like that part of it. I'm just there just to like give a little bit of feedback and questions and all that. But like they've taken so much initiative and done all these things on their own. So I'm just so happy and incredibly proud of the team. So yeah, looking forward for what's to come.
Beautiful and very fitting also to end the fireside chat. So thank you so much, NextPay team, for joining us today. We really learned a lot from your sharings. And yes, for our audience who are interested in joining NextPay, they're opening research intern positions next year. So really watch out for that one. And yes, that ends our fireside chat. So thank you once again to everyone here. And we hope to have you in the next events as well. We hope you enjoyed. So yes, thank you everyone.
Thanks, UX
for having
Society,
Thank
for having
you.
us.
Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, next pay. All right. So with that, we hope our audience really enjoyed that segment with next pay. So before we move on to our next segment, we'll just be having a short 5-minute break So be sure to be back at 3:50 p.m. And in the meantime, feel free to relax and enjoy some music. We'll see you there.
爱着谁的他能否将你接受？是不是会上瘾？拜托慢些降落。You found a sweater on the ocean floor. They're gonna find it if you didn't close the door. You and the smart one sit outside of the side in a house on a street they wouldn't park on a night. That was a risk taker, his was a shoemaker. You greatest hits 2006 little list maker. Chords in the melody, you eat it the call. Or you were born with 10 fingers and you're gonna use them all. Interesting colors I discover myself. If your art life is gritty, you'll be toasting my health. If an interesting culture should be lining the walls, when your birthright is interest, you could just accrue it all. Me and my cousins and you and your cousins, it's a line that's always running. Me and my cousins and you and your cousins, I can feel it coming. You can turn your back on the bitter wood. You can turn your back on the bitter wood. You can turn your back on the bitter wood. You can turn your back on the bitter wood. Me and my cousins and you and your cousins, it's a line that's always running. Me and my cousins and you and your cousins, I can feel it coming. Me and my cousins and you and your cousins, it's a line that's always running. Me and my cousins and you and your cousins, I can feel it coming.
It's been a week from hell. I lost my job at Five Guys. My girl just kicked me out. She says I'm lame. Maybe she's got a point. Who gets the sack from Five Guys? She thinks I'm so incapable of change. But I can cut down on my speed, give you what you need. Take time to make time. Girl, I can stop procrastinating. Oh, be a little more prepared. Show you that I care. I'll love you, I swear, girl. Oh, but tell me if I wasn't broke, ooh, would you spend more time with me like you said you do? Oh yeah, tell me what I'm supposed to do. 'Cause the only thing I need is to be loved by you. I'm starting out my 7th day of sofa surfing, parading in my Calvins with no shame. Good Lord, I sit and think to myself, I've hit the low. But look around and see no one to blame. Maybe I can cut down on my sleep, give you what you need. Take time and make time. I can stop procrastinating. Whoa, 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 whoa. Be a little more prepared, show you that I care. I'll love you, I swear, girl. Oh, but tell me if I wasn't broke, ooh, would you spend more time with me like you said you do? Oh yeah, tell spend more time with me like you said you do. Yeah, tell me what I'm supposed to do. Cause the only thing I need is to be loved by you.
Hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone, to our talk for today. So I hope you guys still have lots of energy in you because now we'll be going with our next company. So our next speaker comes from Summit Media. Anne Harter is a Paris-based designer with a management and entrepreneurial background. In the past, she did UX freelance work in Paris and pursued different businesses. Now, she's the UX lead in Summit Media, the leading digital lifestyle network in the Philippines, and the co-founder of Romeo Naturals. So I really love this woman because she was my boss before. So yes, without further ado, let's give a round of clap emojis for Anne Harter.
You just wanna know it's alright for you to take it all
Hi, hi.
for me to take care of you.
Hi, Anne. All right. I think our logistics team will be helping with sharing your screen.
Yeah, so sorry about that, guys. I updated my computer and I don't know, for some reason it just went wild.
Yeah, it's okay. Oh, what time is it there right now?
It's actually hold on. 8:51 a.m.
Oh, all right. We hope it isn't too early for you right now.
No, no, no. I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to, share some points to everyone. Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
Yes. All right. So our screen is up. So take it away, Anne.
Okay, so today, guys, I'm gonna talk to you about Summit Media. I'm just gonna go over the company overview, our values, and then our audiences. What products do we have, and some activities that are just exclusive to Summit at the moment. And then I'll probably talk about the week in my life as well as a UX lead, and also. Yeah, I guess that's it. And maybe a question and answer after the walkthrough. Okay, so let's start with the company overview. So Summit, what is our vision and mission? Our vision and mission is really creating content, fueling passion, and engaging audiences. Summit's mission is really to create and promote excellent and engaging, relevant, and up-to-the-minute content delivered in most innovative and effective platforms. I'm not so sure if you guys know a lot about Summit, but I think you've heard some of our products already. So what are our core values and what are we looking for our employees? We call it Digit or Digit for the others. The drive for excellence. It's doing things well, no matter how small it is, and in creating greatness as well. And innovation. We believe in always exploring new ways to do things, and then we do value that experimentation within the company. So also the next one is grit. Definitely, this is something that especially now that we're in a work at home setup, we push to be more resilient in the face of adversity and welcoming the challenges that we face. Integrity, definitely, especially as well. We're in a work from home setup. Like we push for the honesty of our work with the people we work with, and of course with our users. And then teamwork. We're highly collaborative, and we work together to achieve the common goals. Next one is our audience, our lovely users. We do have 31 million monthly users, and that's excluding our social media followers on all platforms. That is equivalent to 32 million. What are the products do we have? hopefully some of you are familiar with it. We have like 16 in-house digital brands, Candy, Cosmopolitan, Esquire. And this is the brands that we actually handle as a UX and UI team. But other than that, we also have revenue and outsourcing projects. I hope that you're also familiar with some of our clients. And we do also have applications, which is Cuento, which is now also available in Google Play and Apple Store. We do also create platforms, CMSs, CRMs. These are just the few the things that are we've been working with, and I think, and of course, Kay and KP were there to also help us out. First is Quill, Scribe, and an advertising life cycle. Other than those projects that we are creating, we are also creating innovative projects such as traffic billboards, vehicle detection, people with, it detects the people with devices, their age, their gender, and to push that smart advertising. We also have OOH player and inventory, virtual tours like here in Toyota's 360 and Hello Sign as a back office process. So what are focus areas in creating strategy for the team? Our 4 areas is our data, making sure that we are accounting for the metrics, scorecards, process, agile, and design thinking, of course, and our protocols, technology, making sure that we have the right tools, and also discovering new tools. People, which is important, employee relations, making sure that it's a safe space, and then of course upskilling and career development. Aside from the company values, we also have our own team North Star. Our North Star is that we become the craftsmen and authors of intuitive design and pleasant experience. Craftsmen being creative, masters, and really paying attention to detail. Authors, making sure that we have that talent for storytelling, and of course documentations, which is really, really important for UX and UI. Intuitive designs, being consistent, making sure that it's invisible and accessible, scalable, and of course maintained designs. Pleasant experiences, of course, fast, reliable, research, tested, and measured. So what's our setup for the moment? Right now, we're still in that work from home setup. Like I've attached some photos here. This is actually like, I think my first month with Summit. These are the tech team. And of course, even though we're in a work from home setup, we still do have other activities. Like the next slide will be our Halloween event. And also we have another activity, which is a paint night. I was there, but then I was just not on the photo. We do also have other initiatives that we do in our team. We have retrospective, one of many. This retrospective is actually our end of the month retrospective. We do have Friday retrospectives, and we also have project retrospectives. Another activity would be our midweek coffee, is where we just have like an off hour every Wednesday. So the goal there is to just really, have fun, not think about work. And then here you can see we have a Padlet where people can share what they want to do for that day. So sometimes we play games, sometimes it's just kwentuhan, budol, stories. And then we also have an activity which is like an inside the company talks, which is design and coffee. Other than that, we also have other activities that are just, within Summit. We do have mood check-ins for my team. We do peer-to-peer review regardless of your level. and then design critiques, of course, and then tech wiki, which helps the other teams to understand what our terminologies are for tech. Okay, so that's the company overview. So what is a typical week in a life of wait, was that correct? A typical week for a design lead. Usually on Mondays, we do have our stand-ups, and that's our catch-up. But in my team for UX, because we've separated UX and UI, for UX, I remove the meetings for stand-ups anymore. And what I do is basically, they just send me an update on Notion, and then they just tag me. So that removes kind of another meeting in the team. And if there's an urgent matter, they can call me anytime. So I'm always available. But for that updates, you remove that for my team. And then we also have updates for just the design leads. That's going to be the UX and then UI lead. Right now we are seven in our team, and then definitely we're growing for next year, and we might double that. And also on Tuesdays, it's more of meetings. My days are full of meetings. But the good thing about being a design lead is that you have a view of all the projects that your team is working on. And then, as mentioned, on Wednesdays, we do design and coffee. And we've also kind of noticed that since we launched design and coffee last month, it actually put our team members in a very, very good mood. And this is not just open for our team. We also invite other members of the tech team. And then this is also an hop in and hop out experience. So you don't necessarily have to attend, but if you have time and if you want to have, you just want to chill, you can come and put you in a good mood at least. And then on Thursdays, again, more meetings. Sometimes what I do is that I shadow my team. For example, there's a workshop that they're doing. I just sit in the background and then just listen and try to give them feedback. We also have design critiques, and then we also have cadence for our protocols. We want to make sure that we also always improve. So that's twice a month that we do. And then every Friday we have our retrospective. Everything is we try to do the retrospective to make sure that our team members don't really have to think about work, and they can sort of switch off. So yeah, that's, I guess, the week. But definitely that's it. That's the week in a nutshell. Let me know if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you for sharing, Anne. There really is a lot of difference now when KP and I were there. So really
Yes,
happy.
yes, I told you.
They're really happy that the team's growing as well. So
Mhm.
yes, we actually have a few questions over on our Slido. So
Mhm.
first, in regards to tools, like how often is Notion used in your team?
Oh my gosh, we cannot live without Notion. So we use it almost every day. Our dashboard is in Notion. Like I said, I removed meetings because our typical stand-ups, you spend 30 minutes on it. So I just let my team breathe a little bit and then just give me the updates via Notion. Also, a lot of our projects and strategies are in that Notion. So it just helps the team to kind of give them that reminder that this is our North Star. We also have our highlights there. So yeah, every day Notion. We're we always say that I think is our team would not function this well if we don't have Notion. Probably that's a bad thing to say, but yeah, we rely a lot on Notion.
Yes, thank you, Anne. So, other than that, like our audience also asked, are there any other productivity tools that you use aside from Padlet and Miro and Notion?
Productivity tools. Now there's quite a few before that we tried. Of course, we want to experiment which one is going to be helpful. We had teamwork before, but then the UX of teamwork was not that well. It was not really efficient. So we've discovered Notion, and then we said, okay, Notion is, it helps everyone in the team. And then of course, it's highly customizable. So our teams can have like their different views for the tool. But yeah, I think we've also tried Trello. But for me, I rely on my calendar more for productivity. I make sure that everything is blocked throughout the week. So yeah, I think my calendar and Notion for sure.
Yes, thank you for answering, Anne. Notion Nation indeed.
Yes, indeed.
All right. So our next set of questions are actually about the internship in Summit.
Sure.
So are you hiring UX interns right now, or when will be the estimated dates?
Oh, the estimated dates is actually might be Q3 next year. Our first cohort, you guys were, I'd like to think that it was very successful. So
Yes.
we want to make sure, of course, we don't want to just hire interns, but we want to make sure that it's a proper learning experience. So we also factor in, I think you remember that we do the skills assessment to make sure that we assign the right intern to the perfect project. So yeah, we want to make sure that the internship program is ready. And of course, from that experience with the first cohort, we are also iterating the program. So the target would be Q3 or maybe Q2 if we're ready. But the priority as of the moment is really hiring new team members. So we're hiring 4 more team members, whether that's product designer, UX, and UI.
All right. Thank you, Anne. So really excited about that as well. Like the internship was really so much fun for us. So
I hope so.
yes, we encourage like the audience watching right now to apply. Sorry for the background noise of the dog.
No.
So, yes. Two more questions about interning in Summit Media. So
Mhm.
how is the workload for the interns? Or what are you
Oh,
planning
okay.
on doing for that?
The workload for the interns. Of course, no, we don't wanna give the interns a little too much work, but we wanna make sure that the interns really learn. So it's not the typical how do you say it? You get really involved in the project. We want to make sure that it's a realistic it's as realistic as the really working on a project. So yeah, it could sometimes be too realistic. I'm not so sure, but let me know if what was your experience in interning? Was it too much or but yeah, we try to strike that balance as well. If for example we want to check with our interns, that's why we have the retrospective, if how much they can take or how much they wanna do. And of course, like you guys, we were so lucky because you were also like having your own initiatives and suggesting things that you want to work on. So I think yeah, listening to our interns, not just assigning them specific work, but yeah, first listening to them and how much project or how much load they want. So yeah, I think I think it's hard to like say how much is the load, yeah. But yeah. Let me know, what was it? How was it?
Yes. I guess for my experience, it was manageable because I had Isa. So there's
Mhm.
like for your audience, the interns have like a partnered mentor to help you and guide you all throughout the projects. So it was really a good experience also for me. So
Right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, our audience loves learning like more of this internship program. So
Sure, no problem.
yes. Could you share like what would be the perks of being an intern in Summit?
Mm. Okay, one of the perks I think being working with Summit is that you'll have a diverse project, which is really really important for for a product UX or UI interns, and you also you remember that you wanted to learn more about product managers, so we kind of set those talks up with the other team members of the tech team, so we don't just focus on one title, but if the interns are curious about other roles, we definitely arrange that for them. Also, I think one of the perks is that I'd like giving the guarantee to the people that we hire that you will be the designer that you want to be in under 6 months, because of the diversity of products, like I mentioned, because we have websites, we are working on apps, we're working on platforms. So, and also we wanna, you're not just assigned to like a single project. Also, you get to be involved with other projects, so you kind of learn what your expertise are. And like you, Kay, I think you discovered that you wanted to be a product manager there, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
So
you.
yeah, I think that's one of the perks. And yes, KPA and Kay, you also had the experience of writing articles for the team.
Yes, so super diverse set of activities as well. So thank you
Mhm.
for that, Anne. And I guess last question here for the internship and summit. What are you looking for in a UX intern?
Mm. For a UX intern, definitely someone, with a lot of grit, creative problem solver, um, having a lot of energy, because I think UI, what people don't realize is that UX and UI needs a lot of energy to run workshops, to interview users, to just in general, you need to have a lot of energy, and of course, talent for storytelling, and of course that logical part of the problem solving as well. So yeah, I think, yeah, those are the things that we're looking for, and someone that enjoys the culture of experimentation, because we're all learning. We all learning, and then we also learn from you guys. I think we've also learned. We've mentioned that quite a few times, that we've learned some new things from you during your internship.
Yes, love that. And maybe like a follow-up question,
Sure.
like something a lot of people ask. Would
Mhm.
it be required to have a portfolio when applying?
Yeah. Not necessarily. I think if you can walk us through maybe a case study or how you solve a problem, I think that's more important to us than having a portfolio. Um, if, for example, you're interested in applying for UX, definitely a case study would be nice, so we can see how you're. But for internship, mostly we just go for the interview, and then we kind of like, we've interviewed quite a few people already, so we have that sense of like, okay, this person will work with the team. But yeah, I think just a case study would be a nice addition to applying as an intern.
Yes, okay. Taking notes of that one for the audience. Thank you, Anne. So, are you still up for a few more questions? Would you like to
Sure,
recharge for a bit?
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So, here's a question about design and coffee. So,
Mm-hmm.
hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, there. Can you explain further what happens in design and coffee? How integral is it to brainstorming or deliverables?
Okay. So for the design and coffee, these are we talk about the topics that we're passionate about. So for example, but the trick there is that, for example, you want to learn something and having to create those talks for those talks for everyone in the tech team. That's also a learning experience for us. We're trying to educate the other teams, but it also, like, really, for us, it's a win-win because we ending up, like, studying further in that topic. And then if we want to learn more, of course, we also do a lot of research for a certain topic that we want to talk about. But I think the most important thing about design and coffee is just really being sort of not really an expert of that specific topic, but these are topics that the team are already passionate about. So we're just like making sure that they get to talk about what they love. And I think that's I hope I answered your question.
Yes, so it's also part of building the trust within the team and also
Yeah.
the culture that goes around it. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
lovely. All right. So for you personally, Anne, how did you start learning UX?
Oh, it was more of, I always wanted to be in tech, but I did not want to be, I did not want to code because I'm always creative. I created my story here in Paris. And then I kind of, like, started creating websites, and I'm like, oh, I enjoy this. And then I think I found it by accident, UX, really. I think I saw it on the website and I said, I'm gonna do it. And then I went to do it because I was traveling for 2 years. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I took a loan and then applied for UX design course, and then here we are. And then it's just, for me, it's a perfect way to enter tech, because you have that balance of creativity, and also it's not super isolating, because you get to talk to users, you get to talk to stakeholders. So I think, yeah, for me it was just I think, like, I'm doing UX before, but I just didn't know what it was yet.
Ah,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
It's also a relatively new term.
Yes. Yeah. And you kind of like say, oh yeah, this is perfect for my personality. So yeah, I did also a personality test, just to make sure, like, okay, it says, like, yeah, you need to be empathetic, check. So I had to, like, check online if I'm empathetic. So yeah, I mean, like, just a little bit of research, and just, I guess, pure luck, and
Yes. Thank
Mhm.
you for sharing, Anne.
Sure.
Someone also asked, like, what would you advise an aspiring or a beginner UX designer who wants to advance his or her career?
Mm. Imposter syndrome is always going to be there, no matter what level or no matter what seniority. And that's what I kind of, like,
Yes,
discovered. It's always going to be there, but you'll just never know until you ask, you know, or just do. Like, what will you lose? You lose nothing. So just try, and work on work on your portfolio. I'm saying that, but I haven't updated my portfolio in a while. But yeah, it's always gonna be there, and apply for that job. You'll never know. You never really know. Yeah.
Yes. I think that was one of the two greatest learnings I got from Summit. Like
Yeah.
during our first week, someone brought up that imposter syndrome happens in all levels. So it was
Mm-hmm.
very
Yeah.
memorable.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So when it comes with the talks of portfolios, someone said, just curious, haha. But would you be willing to share how your portfolio looks like?
Oh, right now it's actually down. So I'm so sorry. I don't know because I uploaded it in UX Folio, but then it doesn't, but yeah, I think I have a Medium page. That's the only thing in my portfolio, but don't follow what I do because I haven't updated my portfolio and I think 2 years. It's horrible.
It's all right, Anne. But maybe you can describe like what does your portfolio have, or what would you
Okay.
highlight there?
So what I look for in a portfolio is definitely, making sure that you really had a contact with the users. I think what's missing in portfolios these days are, you know, they no matter how content the user interview or how many, it's not if it's not a lot, if it's one or two people, if you sent a survey for one or two people, just make sure that it's there in your portfolio because for us we want to make sure that we want to humanize that persona that you have that you've created. So even though it's just one person or two people that you've talked to, put that data there. Metrics is also important. Key learnings and how did you go about solving a specific problem. But of course, that's for UX. If it's more for UI, definitely we want to see how more visual part of the project. If you know how to create design systems or um, ano ba? Aspect ratios, all those like technical things for UI. But yeah, I think that's more of something that we look for. What were your learnings? Who are these users? And how did you solve that problem? And what else? Yeah, just a overview. And of course, when you talk about your portfolio, um, make sure that you talk about your sometimes there's a because I learned this when I was doing a lot of interviews. I learned that when you talk about when it was a learning for me because that was a mistake I did before when I was like when I had a project that it involves a team. I talk more about my team than my involvement in the project. So that was a learning for me. And always ask for feedback. I think that's the super important thing that you can do for your portfolio. If you get more feedback on your portfolio, it's gonna be a perfect one. And I don't think there's a perfect portfolio. I think, yeah, I don't think there's always been a perfect portfolio. Yeah, just keep working on it. But don't listen to me because I haven't updated mine. I promise I will update it.
Yes, I actually love what you said, Anne, like about humanizing what you're putting in your portfolio. So we
Mhm.
always, like as UX people, we always say that we want this to be human centric for our users, but how do we apply it to ourselves as well? So yeah,
Mhm.
really love that. Thank you for sharing. And that actually ends our question and answer portion for today. So for our audience, we know that you still would love to hear more about our speakers. So don't worry because we'll be opening a Notion page for all of you to put in your follow-up questions. So we'll be sending these for our speakers. So please refer to the link which will be sent in the chat in a moment. So yes, you can ask any question regarding the events that happened in the past week, or you may address them to specific speakers as well. So yes, thank you so much, Anne, for sharing a week in a life in your like a week in your life as a designer in Summit, and it's been really nice hearing from you again. So yes,
Thank you guys. I hope you learned something or I was able to share some good points for everyone.
Yes, definitely. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us today.